Okie dokies. All right, y'all. Hello. Thank you for the brief break while I got termite inspected. Important to be termite inspected. What I did is I just placed one bead on each little pokey. And I arranged them kind of, I have two shoes, and so I didn't put the shoes next to each other. I didn't put purple, green, and gold next to each other. I tried to kind of space them out. But what I'm going to do now is glue them on. And so I have got my, I don't start gluing until I'm happy with the arrangement, because that way I've got some wiggle room, and Lord knows we all need a little wiggle room. So I've got them all arranged. So I like to put different throws from different parades all on one fence. I think that's fun. That makes me feel like I'm doing something kind of cool and fun and artistic. So I've got, these are just some crystal beads. This is a mixed kind of vintage Mardi Gras style bead. These are purple, green, and gold. Those are those little blue leaves that I mentioned. I made some Krewe of Boo, because that's in October. So I was like, what are different parades that happen different times of year? So that's Krewe of Boo. These I really love. They're little cherries, and I think they're very pretty. And there is one, I'm pretty sure there's one. I don't want to tell you guys. For the most part, the set for the giveaway is pretty similar to this. Is there? Yes. There's a strand of the cherry. The tiny mini cherry beads is also in there. One year, Muses had these beads, and it was like a cherry, a strawberry, and I'm forgetting what the third was. So I always think it's hilariously funny if I can do like a mini version of a bead. So like, I think it's very funny to do like the tile bead. That's kind of what it looks like. It's blue and it's white, and it has the big tiles on it. You have to, it's a little artistic interpretation. It's not exactly the same. This is, I did like a little mini version of the beads that she threw in Krewe of Boo. That's sort of like the style of the recycled glass beads that she threw, and I'll put a picture of what I'll put a link up of what I'm talking about on my Patreon, because if you don't know what I'm talking about, I sound nuts. This is a shoe bead, because as you perhaps know, every year Muses does a shoe of the year. They pick a different shoe based on like what the theme is. So like when it was Sweet 16, the shoe was from a pair of candies. Get it? Because there's a shoe brand called Candies. And like the year it was high fashion, it was like the McQueen lobster. It was a high fashion boot. And the year that it was like puberty themed, it was a Converse, kind of like a teenager shoe. And the year that it was children's books, it was a baby shoe. You get the idea. I could go on, and I will if you let me. So we do a bead, a strand of beads that has a medallion, like a little, a heavy sort of medallion that depicts the shoe of the year. And so I take little Barbie shoes and I drill holes in them and put them on jump rings. And that's how I make my little shoe beads, because we have beads with shoes on them. So after that one, this is kind of like the green and the orange for the St. Patty's Parade. This is my Buy Pride turtle. This is purple, green, and gold, sort of vintage style. It's kind of like, I love that one so much, but it's sort of a more muted. So I have like this and this both on there, and they're both purple, green, and gold, so they both kind of read as like Mardi Gras. That's the St. Joseph's Parade. It's got the red, the green, the stripy. That's another shoe bead. This is my red beans and rice, because I love the Krewe of Red Beans so very much. This is a purple, green, and gold, and then this is a mixed. And some of them, I've put some other stuff in here. They aren't all exactly the same. I kind of filled in. So like this one has the tile bead, and this I think is really fun. It's a little vial of glitter, tiny little vial of glitter on a bead. I have never seen a bead like that, but I would throw it if I could throw. I've seen people throw body glitter and stuff, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, so they're basically all kind of like, they're all more or less the same with a few little variations. I don't want to swing them too hard because they aren't glued. What I do to glue them on is I take my E6000, I take a toothpick. This is going to be a little tough to see. All right, I take a little dollop of E6000. I put it like on the back of the spike, and then I put the bead so that it's in the dot of glue. Let me try to do this way. Maybe you can see. So I take my dollop of E6000. This is just my favorite way to do it. You can do hot glue, you can do whatever, but this is what I like to do. I take it, I put it behind the spire where the bead is going to sit, and then I sit the bead in there. And I just go all the way around one at a time so I don't forget which one I've missed. It's a little tougher to do on the tree because the tree doesn't have like an order sort of baked in, but this is pretty straightforward. Dot of glue right there, place the bead. This is just strong but tidy. All the way around. So this part does not take long at all. It takes hours to make the little beads, but no time at all to place them. Which is good because by now you're kind of like, I've been looking at these beads for such a long time. I'm ready to be done. All right. And sometimes if they're hanging a little off center, that's okay, because sometimes people put them on the fence a little off center. I can't handle them all way off center. I'm just not, it makes my brain feel rashy. But a few of them a little bit casually placed actually makes it look a little bit more, you know, lifelike, real world. Okay. And you're working around the moss a little bit, which is kind of how the bead fences in the real world are. There's branches and stuff. All right. I think these are so pretty. The little vintage one. If you win the bead giveaway, you got to tell me which one is your favorite. You don't have to, but that would be fun to know. Even if you don't win the bead giveaway, I'd love to hear which ones are like people's favorites, because I do sell these at Craft Culture. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I really love that one. I sell the finished mini beads. All right, she's done, except for her lettering. But that's just a quick transfer, easy peasy. All right, wrap. Here we go. Same thing again. That one has like a little rose bead that I think looks kind of like a cabbage, because I think it's very funny that we throw produce in the St. Patty's Parade. We're good? All right. Whew. If you are not from here, it's kind of hard to even convey how scary termites are. Oh, this one I had a little duck bead. She's a little duck. Because Muses is also another sort of symbol. The shoe is obviously the best known symbol of Muses, but also ducks. Because we have a float that looks like a big bubble bath. And then we've got a mama duck and 3 baby ducks kind of towards the front of the parade. Very fun ride, the ride on the ducks. I enjoyed myself quite a lot that year. Okay. Hey. I know you want to be with your friends. I get it. Oop. Okay. That dollop was a little bit big. That's okay. You don't want the dollops to be huge, but you don't want them to be, you want them to be enough to hold the beads. So it's a balance. It's a balancing act. Okay. I kind of like to have the Muses tile beads sort of on the front of the shoe. I don't know. That's not like a rule or anything, but I do tend to put the one that says Muses sort of on the front. And technically, every shoe needs to say Muses and the year. So technically, when I put a bead on there that says Muses, I have technically written Muses on there. But since the boots are such a lot of surface area, I am also going to make a nice, pretty transfer that's golden pink like this trim. I'm definitely going to do that. Whew. Okay, my little blue leaf. That's maybe, I don't know. There are a couple. There's Crew de Fleur, and there's the Crescent City Faye. It could be sort of those vibes. A little bit of kind of plant energy on there. And I don't want to put her backward. Okay. Crew of Boo. Love, love. And I mentioned in the last one that I'm going to need to pivot to working on my Swampus throws a little bit, and I am. I kind of got started on that. I made my like prototypes. I'm making some glass beads because I am obsessed with glass beads, and I want to hand string some to throw. And I made my prototype. I have one that's kind of, Swampus is very sustainability oriented, so you know, I want to do my glass beads. I made one that's kind of fun and, you know, children would vibe with it, and one that's a little bit more goth, a little bit more elegant goth, not like gory or anything, but a little bit more. Where did I put the I said I'm going to save extra moss so that if I find a spot that needs a little extra moss, I'm ready. And I saved the extra moss. I definitely did that. But then I put it somewhere. I'll rewatch that. I just see one little spot where I put the moss in the hot glue and it slid, so the hot glue is very shiny. It's very obvious that there's hot glue there. So I'm just going to put a little bit more hot glue and a little bit moss on top of it. Little bit of moss. Little bit moss. All right. She's all set. And what I do is I let them sit. I let the glue set up, and then I flip them over, and anybody who comes loose needs more glue. It's rare, but I do sometimes miss one, and I would rather know that than put her in the bag. Anything less than perfect. All right, halfway there. Living on a prayer. This part is not bad at all. All right, but it is also, this is what I'm talking about. I need like hours in here. I want to finish doing the ice cream scoops. I want to finish working on the bead trees. I got to glitter the shoes that the bead trees are going on. Oh, there's not enough time in the day for, oh, I already glued her on because I already glued those two. I started gluing them and I was like, wait, I should demo. I think people would be appreciative of seeing how that works. Yeah, there's so much I want to do. Whew, it's going to be okay. Slow and steady wins the race, you know? And we're not even running a race. We're just doing our thing. Everything's going to be okay. We've got this. All the steady work I've been doing the whole summer just got a little bit more, you know? And let's see, we got, yeah, there's still plenty. We've got a little bit of August. We got like 10 days of August left. We still got September, October, November, December. That's my goal, is to have my 60 done by the end of December. We're fine. We just got it. We're going to keep our eye on the prize. We are just fine. So this one, because it's going on the duck, I put a little bit of glue on the back of the duck where the bead is going to sit. So I put a duck here and a strand of beads kind of sitting around the duck. And I put kind of a simple strand because the duck, I want the duck to kind of, you know, have its little moment. Oh, let me do it this way so y'all can see. Woo-wee. So yeah, but these are done except for their transfers. We will make those transfers. Ain't no thing to make a couple of transfers. Okay. And then that's 4 done, and 4 pretty fancy ones. You know, the bead tree fences are pretty fancy. I will probably, when I bag these, put a little bit of, I'll show you guys how I bag my slightly more delicate ones. Because these are, everything we make, we need it to survive its trip on the float. I know some people do special ones, and I do too. You do the special ones that you give to your friends at like a coffee date. And so it's totally reasonable to think that one that you put this much effort into would be a coffee date situation. She looks a little too, I'm going to put a little bit more on her because she just looks a little bit, as I'm looking at her in the camera, this just looks a little bit too much down here and not enough up here. So we're going to kind of balance her a little bit. A little more moss up top so that she looks more balanced. The lives are interesting because they sometimes look different. The shoes look different to me in the camera, I guess would be the word. I don't know why I struggled with the word camera so much there. And be careful when you're putting the glue in the moss because the moss is sort of spongy. So I don't want you putting the glue and then pressing the moss and then burning your fingers. That is, you would not believe how easy it is to do that, to press the moss and get finger burny. Okay, that looks good. We look a little more balanced now. Okay. All right, last one. And I'm going to need to get more moss because I do like to put a little moss on my bead tree as well. Okay, almost there. But yeah, we're doing just fine. We just got to keep up. We just got to keep on keeping on. But I think something, when August turns into September, I feel like in my brain, it's like, oh, okay, summer's over. It's the fall. And summer is busy, of course, but not quite in the same way that the fall is with all the stuff that's going on with the holidays and family stuff. So summer is, like I said, a little bit more easy breezy, a little bit more, oh, we've got gobs of time. We're just chilling at the house. Let's just do an hour of shoe stuff. It is going to be a little bit more, you know, patchworking it together. We've still got time, but we're going to need to be a little bit more, what's the word? A little bit more, you know, on top of using smaller pieces of time. It's like making gumbo. It's like, what do you have in the freezer? And you got to piece it together a little bit. So we're kind of in piece it together time. We're kind of in making a patchwork quilt time from all the little scraps. All the little time scraps we're going to turn into our Mardi Gras throws. Because we're doing great on the goal of getting 260. And we want to stay on that goal. And I know I technically have dropped from 60 to 30, but it is very important to me that I have that other goal that I'm working on. And that is an important goal to me too. So it's technically 2 goals, 1 project, but it's important to me. Okay. But also, I will always, always remind y'all that your throws are gifts. So whatever you get done is great. If you're enjoying yourself and feeling good and like having fun making your stuff, that's really important. If you get to a place where you're feeling stressed out about making your throws, take a deep breath and a big step back. There is enough stress in the world that you do not need to be stressing yourself out over making enough free gifts for people, you know? So I find shoe glittering extremely relaxing and therapeutic. This is my happy place. And the act of giving them out really brings me a lot of joy. So like picturing that's kind of how my brain works a little bit. When I'm trying to kind of motivate myself to do something, I like to kind of picture like the rewards, you know? So when I'm making shoes, I'm like picturing giving them to people. I'm picturing that, because it feels so good to give them. All right. So I don't know how your brain works though. So maybe that does not make you feel good. Maybe your shoes are stressing you out or your throws are stressing you out. Take a deep breath. You do not have to do there. You know, there are not, I don't know. Does any crew have like mandatory throw stuff? I'm not aware of anyone having like, muses were allowed to bring at most 30, but plenty of women don't bring any shoes at all. To me, that's kind of like, you know, if I RSVP to a party, I'm coming, if you will. And so to me, I wouldn't want to ride without shoes because that's the point of the ride for me. The ride is a lot of things. The ride is the energy of the crowd, but I want to honor the energy of the crowd. I can't give everyone a shoe, but I would like to give as many shoes as I can. I would like to make as many smiles happen as I can. But I don't know of anyone who's like, oh, you must make some number of, you know, umbrellas or goblets or something. Does anyone know does your crew have like a mandatory you must ride with this many? I'd be surprised, but life is surprising. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. What? 1, 2, 3. Lately, I've just been counting and not actually moving the stuff. 4. All right, that's 4 bead fences done, except asterisks, they need transfers. So we are gonna do those. Not right now. I don't have my transfer stuff. And also I want to text Alicia and get that font that I'm picturing. And it's gonna be such a weird text. I'm gonna be like, hey, you know that shoe where you kind of did this thing and it kind of was like this, and like, would you share that font with me? And also, you know, sometimes people don't want to share their font, and that's fine because they're kind of, I do not feel, on the one hand, we're all making throws, so it's kind of like, no, but we can all collaborate and not compete, but I also totally respect if someone's like, no, I'd kind of like that to be special. I personally try to gatekeep as little as possible because I think we're all in this together. We're all kind of making, that's the thing. If I get on the float and I'm trying to make as many people happy as I can, I assume that everybody else is in that same boat and wants to just make as many smiles as they can. So if we all do our part, you know, and everybody keeps a good attitude about it, I think that's makes it work. All right, so I started on some bead trees and did not finish them. Wire. I'm out of black wire, so I'm going to have to use white wire on this, but that's okay. You know, we do what we do. I bought another branch and started cutting it up into pieces. When you buy the branch, it comes, I don't have one, I'm sorry. It comes like one big branch and it looks like a tree branch. So it doesn't look like a mini tree, it looks like a tree branch. So I like to cut it apart into, you know, it'll kind of look like, when you buy it, it'll kind of look like that. And so I cut it into pieces and then make them into a tree. And there's a video on the Craft Culture YouTube of me doing that. So you are welcome to check that out if you're curious how the tree part of the tree happens. And I will say what's nice about the bead trees is my number one tip for making a bead tree is you can use a lot of hot glue, because when you put it together, it's going to look really barky. All those kind of, right at this point, it kind of looks like trash because you see all the wire and the hot glue. When you cover it with glitter, it'll look barky. It'll look like, you guys have seen an oak tree. It gets really, you know, there's a lot of texture going on there. So I'm gluing that on. I'm just doing 2 bead trees this year. I've got plenty of branches here. So I'll probably just use all these branches. I'll make some pretty dense trees. I've got decent sized baggies going. I'll do the bead trees. I'll put the beads on there. And what I kind of do is I put enough beads that I am happy with it. I don't want the tree to look skimpy. And that's probably about, you know, 24, like the pack I got you. If you put 24 beads on a bead tree, it won't look skimpy. But if you put a lot of beads on the bead tree, it'll look nice. So that's kind of a personal choice. You can pick your own bead tree volume. Well, that's nice. Good, good. Oh, it's pretty close to, okay. I put it on Instagram, but I want to tell you guys too. I have been, as you perhaps know, I have spent the summer kind of fighting with the cardinals over my figs. And so I put out a ton of birdseed, and that was kind of, we were at peace because they like the birdseed better than the figs, and I like the figs better than the birdseed. So everybody was getting their favorite thing as long as I kept plenty of birdseed out there. And so Cardi and Richie were coming around. That was my little boy cardinal and girl cardinal. And there was a while in there where I like kind of didn't see Cardi for a while. And I was like, oh, I hope she's okay. I hope she didn't get, you know, got by a cat or a hawk or something. Nature, you know, circle of life, right? And then she came back and I was so happy to see her. I was like, oh, hey girl, I'm so glad to see you. And she said nothing because she's a bird. And so that was interesting. But then a couple days ago, Richie brought their little baby, a little juvenile little cardinal. You can tell they kind of aren't really the color of a boy or a girl cardinal. Boy cardinals are bright red. Girl cardinals are a little more, you know, taupe, a little more subdued so they can hide while they're sitting on eggs, which is probably where she was. She was probably sitting on her eggs. And they only brought the one, but you know, It's one and done. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I know plenty of people who had one baby and that was plenty enough for them. So yeah, so Cardi and Richie had a little baby, and I put a video on my Instagram of the little baby and the bird feeder. I don't know why I'm saying baby like that. Baby. They brought the little baby to the bird feeder. I asked my kids what they wanted to name the new baby. I said it's hard to tell when it's a juvenile, but I think it's a boy juvenile. You know, it's hard to tell. When they're juveniles, they kind of look kind of a darker brown, and they've got their little faux hawks. But I was like, I think it's a boy, but I'm not sure. And they said, we want to name it after our art counselor. We want to name it after Mr. Christian, because they did art camp this summer and loved it. So if anybody knows Mr. Christian, he's got a little cardinal flying around named after him. So that's what's going on that's the hot goss in our house. I'm like, guys, guess what's going on with the Cardinals? They had a baby. I'm like, chances that any of y'all care about that are low, but you know, that's what's going on. Okay, so that tree's looking good. Nice tree. I'm gonna let that kind of firm up a little bit and probably add some wire. And then this one, where do I want to put? You know, it's a little bit of a puzzle kind of fitting it all together. That looks pretty good. I like that. I kind of put them in different spots and see what looks good to me. Trees are all, you know, and once you get the beads on them, nobody's going to be like, oh, the lines of the tree aren't exactly, you know, I'm an arborist and that tree doesn't, once you get the beads on them, it's its own species of tree. It doesn't matter what it was before the beads. Once it's covered in beads, that's a bead tree. I don't know the genus Beatus trius, you know, that's what happens. That's its own thing. That's my opinion on the subject. All right, so plenty hot glue, but as you all know, because I always say, so if you listen to me, don't put too much hot glue at once, because if you put a ton of it, you just make lava flow. All right, she looks pretty good. I don't want it to be, all right, let's see. So add it, not too much at a time. The tree has this little thing at the bottom. I'm gonna kind of like make a thicker trunk by putting two of those together. I'm gonna cover the trunk with a ton of glue. So at this point, I'm just kind of making like a rounded shape. I think this was one branch that I cut up. It might have been two, I'm not sure. You can absolutely make a perfectly satisfactory little tree out of one branch, and I think they're $4.95, so like for $5 you can absolutely do a nice little tree. This I think is like maybe 3 or 4 branches to make 2 very thick trees. I like my trees pretty thick, but you can absolutely do, and I think on the video on the Craft Culture page, the Craft Culture YouTube, and I am going to cross post some stuff so that people don't like have to jump around too much. I'm not going to put my stuff on the Craft Culture YouTube because my stuff is so disorganized and so loosey-goosey, and I say things like, you know, the curtains should match the drapes, and I don't want that on the professional, I don't need that on the Craft Culture crowd-facing format. But I will put some of the Craft Culture stuff on my YouTube as well, so that if you see me doing a bead tree and I'm like, oh, there's a video of the bead tree, you can kind of it's a little easier, just a hop, skip, and a jump. All right, so much hot glue, tons of hot glue. It's probably like, you know, $5 for the branch, and the hot glue is probably almost as much, but that's how I like to do it. Okay, letting these firm up a little bit. And then I'm gonna, so that you can see I put 2 of them together to make like a thick trunk. Once that's all glittered and hot glued, it'll look like one big round trunk. And then I'll just tuck that into the shoe. So I need to fish out, I know I have it because I buy it constantly. Some glitter colors, you just, every time you're in the store, you pick them up, and it's like, some of them just speak to you like that. So I buy a jar of Waking Up on Bourbon Street monthly, even though confetti a little goes such a long way, so I don't really need to be doing that, but you know, All right, let's put that in there. And then she's probably pretty done. I can keep adding branches forever, but I don't, you know, I don't need to be doing that. Do I want to combine you and make you one big branch? That would be kind of cool. That would be kind of nice. I like that. So it looks very weird for a while, and then all of a sudden you cover it with glitter and it looks much more pretty. Well, I think I don't want that to be one branch. Let me see where I do want that. Sorry, I'm fiddling a little with position on this one. Maybe a smaller one there. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. You know, you gotta fiddle with it. You gotta see what looks right. That's what I want to do. Thank you for bearing with me. What I have is kind of these long ones, and I want this one to just be a little longer. So instead of trying to fit a whole other branch in there, I'm just going to elongate this one a bit. And that'll be good. Nice. And then I think I want some, I'll let that sit for a minute. Fiddly process, but totally, in my opinion, worth it for the finished results. Yeah, like that. And after I've got everything glued together, I'll see if anybody needs just a little bit of wire wrapped to really make it strong, because, you know, anything worth doing is worth overdoing. And then I will probably, since I've got the black spray paint out, I'll probably give these a little spritz of hot glue, and then I'll fully glitter them. Not hot glue, a little spritz of spray paint, and then I'll fully glitter them, and I'll show y'all what it looks like to glitter them. I typically start with the black branches or the brown branches, because then when I cover them, if I miss a spot, I'm kind of saving myself from myself a little bit, if you will. Are you headed out? All right, safe travels. Okie dokie. Actually, that's probably good for today, and I probably do need to get to work. So I will continue working on these, but they're looking good. We're looking nice and filled in. So a little bit more on these, I would say. I've got just a couple little branches I'll chop up, and then, yeah, we should be good. We should be good. Oh, yeah. Let me go ahead and finish. We're good at the shop. Sorry, y'all, a little bit of decision paralysis there. Okay, you sit there. And then I try to look at it from all angles. That's gonna kind of go in the shoe like that. Do I want anything else? Maybe elongate that a little bit. Yeah. And I'm using a ton of hot glue, so I should be okay in terms of strength. But I will get a little wire involved if I need to. The hot glue is just, it's not hard, it just takes time. You got to let the hot glue firm up before you press on. That looks good though. I'm pretty happy with this tree. Do I want to put one little guy down there? Good. I think that's a nice tree. I'm very happy with that. I'm gonna reinforce a little bit. You know, a little hot glue at a time, a little hot glue at a time. Not too much or it will kind of, weirdly too much hot glue kind of makes it less strong because you're kind of turning it into like a big puddle of magma. We don't want to do that. That looks really good. I'm very pleased with her. Set her there. Start the process of kind of making the trunk a little thicker. I may need to kind of put a few more pieces against the trunk to kind of thicken it up a little. And then we'll make it all work with hot glue. And be careful with hot glue. Hot glue is hot. I don't really feel it in my fingers anymore, but hot glue is hot. All right. Home stretch, almost done. Oh, I don't like that you twisted a little bit. We're gonna just scooch you a smidge. That's a good spot for you. Sometimes I set stuff down to let the hot glue finish setting up and it migrates a little bit. And that's no biggie, we just have to scooch it back. And then I'm going to put that branch right there. And then I think that's probably good. We got a few little branches, and I reserve the right to change my mind as always. But I think that's a nice full tree that isn't like an insane. If I put too much branches on here, the tree looks amazing, but then I need 5,000 beads. And even I, who love making the beads, don't want to make 5,000 of them. I'm exaggerating for comedic effect, but you know, not that much. That much, yes. It would not be 5,000 beads. But I think a nice little, you know, a simple little tree, you can absolutely adequately fill with like 24. So I don't want to overshoot that too hard. All right, you're looking good. Anybody need anything? You need to be trimmed a little bit right there where that branch is poking out a little weird. And then you need a little hot glue. This is what I'm talking about. Sometimes too much hot glue is worse than a little hot glue because then it turns the sort of little, if you put a lot of hot glue, hot glue works by melting and then cooling off. And when it's cool, it's a solid, and when it's hot, it's melty. So if you have a little dollop that is cool and holding, and then you put a big dollop of hot, it'll melt it. So that's what I mean when I say like you're turning it into like lava flow. Sometimes I'm not, you know, a thermodynamics person, but like I don't know what you would call an expert in thermodynamics, but I'm not an expert in thermodynamics, but I know big puddle of hot, hotter than little puddle of, that one did not come out right. And let's all just pretend I didn't say that. Let's all pretend I said something really smart that made sense. Yeah, I think I'm going to call them both done. Those are my bead trees. And so yeah, just a little fiddling and gluing and gluing and fiddling. I mean, not a little. It's a, you know, I'm not going to make it sound like it's fallen as easy as falling off a log. But the nice thing is that you can put a ton of hot glue and that actually makes it better. So don't be shy with your hot glue. That would be like my #1 tip for making a bead tree. Don't be shy with your hot glue. Be as much on the opposite end of the spectrum as shy as you can be. Be extremely extroverted with your glue. And then I'm going to give that a little spritz of spray paint probably. And then I want to shape this trunk a little thicker. Oh no, that trunk is okay. I want to clip this so it's the right height. And these branches are nice because you can cut them with scissors. It takes a little elbow grease. You gotta really want it. You gotta really mean it. Okay. Both of my trees look nice. I've got a couple little branches here. I'll put in my little branches pile, and you know, the next time I need a couple little branches, I will know where they are. That's how she goes. So this one I might kind of fuse to the trunk to kind of make a thicker trunk. That is not strictly speaking necessary. I just think it looks good to have the trunk be a little bit cylindrical. The branches kind of taper at the bottom so that they can be used in like floral arrangements. So like I totally understand what they're doing. I'm putting too many. I'm gonna be so mad at myself when the time comes to put beads on all of these little nooks and crannies. And y'all can watch me. My future self is gonna be so mad. But sometimes my present self just writes the check and my future self has to figure out how to cash it. And that's just our little arrangement. Okay. That's one tree done. Gonna spritz it, gonna hot glue it. We will finish working on the glitter on those. I really, really want to do the rest of the ice cream. I'm gonna do it real quick. I'm gonna do it so quick. We're just gonna knock it out because I keep putting it off, and if I keep putting it off, it's just not gonna happen. This is what I'm talking about. This is rubber hits the road time. This is where we start to like have to make things work. Okay. So she just needs the ring of foam around her bottom top scoop. We've got the foam. We've got the know-how. We've got the glue. We're just going to do it. All right, I'm going to put this wire over here because I didn't end up needing any wire today. I'll give them a wiggle in a minute. All right, just going to make the bottom. Just going to glue that little rim around the bottom. And then all it needs, and your top scoop is going to be a little more diminutive than your bottom scoop because you want it to be pretty. You want it to sort of, if you make the bottom scoop the same size as the top scoop, it's just not going to be as pleasing to the eye. So we're going to taper her down a little, just a little. Whew. Let's see if this works. Oh my goodness. So we're going to see if this works. I am so sorry, y'all. I can't catch a break today. This is what I'm talking about when it's like, even if it's inconvenient, we just got to keep going. This is, whew, all right. That's okay. I had to interrupt for the termite inspection, which is important. And then my phone just abruptly turned off. So that's fun. And I was like chatting and like doing stuff. And I looked up and I was like, oh, nope, I'm talking to myself. I'm having, it's a craft session that only I am here, which admittedly, I often have craft sessions where only I am here, but you know, anyway, so our bead trees, come on. All right, sorry, y'all. What y'all don't know, because of course you don't see, is it takes me kind of a minute to get the phone like where I want it. So if I have to resume unexpectedly, it doesn't quite go as smoothly, but that's okay. We're going to do it even if it isn't going smoothly. That's where we're at. We are going to keep it rolling no matter what, because August is almost done and we just have to. Anyway, 2 bead trees done. They are going to get a little bit of, well, 2 trees done. They aren't beaded yet. They are going to get a little bit of black spray paint, because why not? I'm going to, you know, treat myself there. They're going to get a little bit of black spray paint, and then they will go inside the shoes that we started. I showed those to you guys. But what we're going to do right now, right this minute, here and now. Let me get some scrap paper. What we're going to do right now, today, killing it. Okay. Is put the glitter on the ice cream scoops. That is like top priority for me today. This brush is not super conditioned. She's not as soft as I would ideally like, but my other brushes are not clean and I need a clean brush because we're going to do a semi-sheer glitter. So this is, that's the cheese. Who are we putting? So I want to put light yellow on here. Oh, there she is. Clean Country Roads. Gonna put Clean Country Roads on here. And then possibly also gonna do that on the other one. We'll decide that in a second. So I'm taking my glue, clean Mod Podge, and getting all the way under. We finished the scoop. It took us a month, but we finished the scoop. You know, it's just a difference of attitudes when we kind of get into the like, the crunch, not crunch time. Crunch time sounds so stressy, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm advocating getting stressed out over their throws, because I really, truly, deeply, earnestly, profoundly am not advocating getting stressed over your throws. Your throws should make you happy. Your throws should, you know, it's a little bit of perfectionism, I think, is certainly part of the process. So I can imagine being like, but in that way that like, I'm not a video game person, but if you have a video game person in their life, they definitely have at least one game that makes them feel insane, but also they love it, you know? So they'll be like, rah! And it's like, what are you, this is fun? And it's like, yes, this is my hobby that I do for fun. It's like, because you look like you're pulling your hair out. And it's like, yes, I am. My hobby that I do for fun is making me pull my hair out. So I totally get that. Sometimes you'll be fiddling with something and it's like, oh my God, I have redone this 8 times and it's still not the way I want it. And I feel like I'm going to throw myself out the window. But also, I love this so much. You know, this is my favorite. This is my happy place. So some of that, obviously understandable. So I'm not saying it should all be, I'm not saying anybody needs to be just like, what's the, I forget the medicine that like calms you down. Nobody needs to be like Xanax all the time. But I'm definitely not advocating for anyone to get stressed out over their throws. I never want anyone to be like, oh my God, I'm so far behind. I don't have enough done. I'm going to be behind. I have to like rush and freak out and stay up late and make myself unhappy. I promise you don't. I promise. And I would not lie to you. Get done what you can get done, and the rest is, you know, what it is. But the difference in attitude that I'm talking about is like, this morning I had some inconveniences. It would have been very easy to just be like, no, we're done. Apparently we're done. The universe says we're done. But when the universe says you're done, you kind of got to be like, no, we're not done. Because I want shoes to throw. I'm not going to be on that float empty-handed. All right. Pretty, pretty. French vanilla. That is what I'm going to do on the other one. I think it'll be beautiful. And I got, do I have them handy? I got some more. Yes, I did. Let me do that too. Since we've got everything here and the planets are all, you know, aligned. And 1 minute I'm like, the universe is against me. And then the next minute I'm like, everything's aligned for me to be successful. You know, we're going to jump around a little bit. And that's the nature of the thing. So beautiful. Ooh, that's so pretty. I love Country Roads for a scoop of French vanilla. Ooh, I don't know why I said French vanilla like that. I said the French weird and I said the vanilla weird. And they were two different flavors of weird. I do know why I said it weird because I'm, you know, feeling a little. Oh, that's so pretty though. You guys see, doesn't that look like a real scoop of ice cream? You know, a little bit of trash, a little bit of foam scraps, and all of a sudden you're like making a scoop of, that really looks good. I really love that. Okay, come here to me. So I bought some of these. I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I bought a little pack of them because I actually just really do want to finish it the way I want to finish it. Sometimes it'd be like that. I love to use thrift stuff and use scraps, but every once in a while you kind of gotta splurge on something brand new. So I'm just popping the little flames off of these. Boop. Come on. Ooh, that one is not interested in going gentle into that good night. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. I don't have my little pliers, but maybe my tweezers will do it. Pop. 1, 2, 3, 4. And come on. 5. Okay. I've got my 5 little flames. Hopefully you guys trust me. All right, and I just had all that wire. Where did I put it? I gotta use white wire for the wicks. And I pulled out all the white wire to use on my, remember I said, it fell on the floor. Oh, okay. I've got my white wire. 1, 2. That's a little bendy, so I'm going to put it in the tree pile. I want the wicks to be kind of straight. And I can straighten out the bent wire, but I've got plenty of wire to work with. 1, 2, 3, 4. God, that French vanilla looks good. It really looks good. Country Roads is a beautiful color, and it really looks like French vanilla. This one's coming out really pretty. I ordered some big clay strawberries to try and put some strawberries in the filling. We're going to see. I don't know how that's going to work or if that's going to work, but you know, you don't know until you try. So I've got those all set up. I've definitely got a hot glue gun here somewhere. Oh, over here. She's over here. Everybody stop looking. All right, I'm going to trim the bottom because they kind of have a little kind of cylinder on the bottom. Just going to cut them. All right. And then I'm going to put hot glue in there. And then I'm going to put the wick in the flame. And then I got to kind of balance it. That's not what balance looks like. Okay. 1. They're little and they're clear, so it's like extra hard to keep track of them. But we like a challenge. Okay. But yeah, this is now my favorite way to do these little candles. And so it's a little bit aggravating, but unfortunately, sometimes it's lovely when a shortcut is just as good. But sometimes the annoying, tricky, expensive way of doing something is the best way. And when that happens, you just kind of gotta make your choices. Decide if it's worth it to you to have it done right. Come on. This one has like a weird little bubble in it, but I think it'll be okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3. see a bald spot on the back of my ice cream, so I'm gonna add a little more. I wanna go take a picture in the sun though of how pretty that looks. Hot damn. That really is beautiful. I am absolutely gonna put that on the other scoop because I'm so enamored with it. So let me set that over there. I'm gonna work on her candles. Oh, I need to put the flames on the candles first. So let me do this. That's my rainbow cake. Blue, pink, yellow. Looks good. And I'm gonna make this scoop yellow. And then we'll put a nice big dollop of whipped cream and a cherry on top. And then she'll be ready to roll. Oh, and I found the foam letters. Where did I put them? I found the foam letters to put on the cone. Day late and $1 short, but still. I will probably do that. I just need to figure out which pocket of which bag I tucked them in. Unfortunately, I find things, I'm like, oh, perfect. This is just what I was looking for. And I tuck it away in a safe place and it's gone for years. Okay. Getting it underneath, all the way in that little lip. I took the pieces of foam and kind of crushed them into rectangles and smooshed them all around the bottom. So now I got to get into those nooks and crannies. I made the nooks and crannies because they look lifelike, but then my chickens come home to roost and I have to pay the piper. It's a lot of metaphors for a Friday morning. Okie dokies. We're looking good, we're looking good. And yeah, it takes a good amount of glue because it's got all those little nooks and crannies and the foam is a little porous. That's okay. We've got the patience, we've got time. And I can see some kind of holes in here that I'm probably gonna add some drippies to, because I think making it look drippy both camouflages the spots where it didn't come together exactly the way you would envision. And also it just looks cool. It makes it look more, to put a nice drip of ice cream, you can just picture that it's a hot day and that ice cream is so cold and silky and lovely and creamy and refreshing. All right, I know this looks weird. I know my angles are a little weird, but I'm trying to get all the bits. Get the bits. All righty. That looks great. And now the fun part. Pretty, pretty. I love country roads. And every time I mix a batch, I get the song stuck in my head, which is not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. She looks good, she looks good. I gotta admit, when I started out, I was like, I'm not sure I can save this one. The cake looks a little funny. I'm not sure I love the rainbow, but I'm into it now. She looks good. She looks pretty. I'm happy. I'm glad I kept, sometimes you gotta trust the process. Sometimes you gotta keep going even if you're not 100% sure you're gonna love it. And if you get to the end and you don't, that's okay. But sometimes you trust the process, you keep going and you're like, oh yeah, that's actually beautiful. It's actually a very beautiful little creation that I made with my 2 hands and a lot of glitter. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I think a pink scoop would have just been too much pink. But I think this French vanilla scoop, and I'm going to put pink whipped cream and a nice red cherry on it. Country roads, take me home. All right. And you'll notice I'm kind of turning it upside down to make sure I get up under there. Isn't she pretty? Isn't she lovely? Okie dokies. She looks good. So my 2 ice cream scoops, at long last, I finished those final scoops. I did it. I did it. All right, now before I do these flames, which I do want to do today, I'm gonna do the sherbet. All right, the sherbet is just the pink, the melon ball. Is it that pink? That pink, no, that looks dark. That's not pink, that's Ponchatoot Strawberry Fields. I was like, that looks too red. I know my colors. There are a lot of things I do not know, but colors, I know. That's too pink. That's my green, I know that. Where is Pussyfoot in pink? Where's she at? Ah, here she is. Nope. That is Cosmopolitan. Good place. All right. There she is. Yes. So I'm going to take my glue. And again, nooks and crannies. She's going to need some drippies as well. She's got a little further to go. She's, you know, not miles to go before she sleeps, but she's got a little further to go because I got to do all these neons. Whew. And it takes at least 2 coats of the neons, sometimes more. So we gotta be patient, I'm afraid. But she'll be worth it. And then I'll probably put some whipped cream and a cherry on top of her as well. But she looks awesome. I'm very glad we did one with a kind of fun neon sherbet on her. Even though I love the kind of pastel, dreamy, French vanilla, strawberry vibes. And I love the one I did that was, I unexpectedly loved the one I did that was really bright and vivid with the rainbow sprinkles and the funfetti cake and the bright blue bubblegum colored ice cream and all the candies in it. I love that one. That one is like, I've done a lot of dessert shoes. I've done a lot of scoops of ice cream and ice cream sundaes and birthday cakes and rainbow cakes. I've done a lot. But that one is probably one of my favorites that I've ever done. Okay, getting the nooks and crannies. I dripped a little on the front. It's all right. The nooks and crannies are definitely tricky on this one, but I'm up to trickiness. I can handle it. And the nice thing about the sherbet is it's so kind of swirly, melty, weird in a good way, that if I miss a spot, it's going to be very easy to touch it up. So I'm going to try to not miss a spot because I don't need to be making more work for myself ever, but especially not this time of year. Okay, she looks good. She looks good. Now we're going to add the sherbet just like we did before. Make some swirlies. So not dissimilar to the way I do my tie-dye, except even easier. Because tie-dye, you're kind of trying to make a shape. Sherbet, it's just kind of swirly. You just want to make sure you have good sized swirls of everybody. See that coming together? Good sized swirl of everyone. We'll kind of read the way we want it to. Oh, I love it. I love her so much. Love, love. And I do sometimes need to put an extra. Okay, guys, I've given it my best. I've been interrupted so many times today. I'm having technical difficulties, but you know, we still got through. We finished our 2 bead trees. Our 2 trees, finished the assembly of our 2 trees. I'm going to give these a spritz of black spray paint, and then I'm going to glitter them in our next session, and then I'm going to continue to glitter the shoes. Those are going to get, I need to fish out one of my many jars of Waking Up on Bourbon Street, so that's going to get Waking Up on Bourbon Street, Iron Throne on the body of the shoe, and then the platform and the heel and the sole are going to be like Midnight Blue. Probably Cajun Navy, maybe Blue Jay, maybe we'll see what we have. But we got those bead trees put together. We put the beads on our bead fence boots. So our bead fence boots are looking cute. We can check that they're good. Those are beaded. And then we also finished the ice cream scoop. We finished sculpting it on these 2. We finished sculpting them. We put the country roads on there to make French vanilla. Isn't that pretty? Look at the French vanilla. Look at her, how like dreamy she is. I I love that scoop of ice cream. I'm obsessed. We did the, oh, she needs a little touch up there. We put the sherbet on the front of the sherbet shoe. So she's coming along. She needs to be trimmed. She needs the rest of her neon done. She obviously needs a little touch up right there. Boom. And then we did the ice cream scoop on here. And so she's going to get a bunch of whipped cream. And then she's going to be, I need to write, I think, happy birthday on or I don't know, maybe. I'm not sure what I'm going to do on I've got this surface here and I don't know what to do with it yet. But this is going to get, when it's dry, it's going to get whipped cream and a cherry. And then we started the flames for our candles. So those are going to go in there when they're ready. Not exactly like that. I'm going to do them like I did these with a little bit of white glue. Okay, so I gave it my gosh darn level best. We tried. We did get a lot done in spite of technical difficulties and inspections and stuff. So, this is the new, we're going to keep rolling. Whatever gets thrown at us, we are going to keep rolling. That being said, I've got to call it a day. I can't keep going. If I have another interruption, I'm going to scream until I'm hoarse. So, not really, but anyway, so thank you all for joining me. We're going to keep continuing. We're in decent shape for August. We will keep going and continue to roll. I am in decent shape. The bead fences only need transfers. The trees won't take me that long. I'll kind of keep going. I'm pretty close to done on these ice creams, so keep on rolling with baskets. I say keep on rolling like I've been working on baskets this month. I have not. I technically did 2 baskets because I did the wicker ones. But we got 2 more baskets we got several more baskets to do. And then I'm probably going to do, I think, champagne toast. That's another kind of fun, I won't say easy, but a fun one that kind of comes together pretty nice. So I'm going to do some champagne toasts. We sell these little flutes at Craft Culture, and then the foam balls and pearls, and then these chiffon flowers. I need to put a 7 on her because I made her for 26, and then there was a mix-up. So she's going to have both